Wait, this changes everything. Tom Cruise didn't end things because of cheating. He didn't walk away because of fights. He walked away because he believed staying would destroy Ana de Armas's future. For the first time ever, Tom admitted the truth he never wanted public, that loving him comes with a cost. A shadow so heavy, even love can suffocate under it. This wasn't a breakup, it was a sacrifice. And what he revealed next explains why this relationship was never meant to last. For years, Tom Cruise has mastered one thing even better than performing impossible stunts: silence. In an industry where celebrities rush to explain themselves, Tom has always chosen the opposite path. He doesn't clarify his relationships for the public. He doesn't react to rumors circulating online or in tabloids. And when it comes to breakups, he almost never says a word. His private life has remained just that, private, protected behind discipline, focus, and years of carefully drawn boundaries. That's exactly why Hollywood was caught completely off guard when quiet whispers began to circulate that Tom Cruise had finally opened up about his split with Ana de Armas. There was no flashy announcement, no carefully staged media appearance, no viral interview clip designed to dominate headlines. Instead, the information surfaced subtly, almost cautiously, and that subtlety made it impossible to ignore. This wasn't a dramatic press conference meant to control the narrative. There were no explosive quotes or emotional confessions. Just calm, thoughtful words from a man who rarely allows the world to see behind the mask he's worn for decades. Those familiar with the situation say Tom's tone was measured and deeply reflective. He didn't speak with anger. He didn't point fingers. There was no trace of bitterness or regret. Instead, what stood out most was respect. Respect for honor. Respect for what they shared, and respect for the reality that not all meaningful relationships are meant to last forever. That single detail instantly shifted how fans and observers viewed the entire story. The narrative changed from speculation to understanding, from gossip to perspective. Because when someone as guarded as Tom Cruise chooses to speak, even briefly, it signals that the story deserves to be heard differently. And what became clear is that this breakup was never about scandal. It wasn't fueled by betrayal. It wasn't driven by public pressure or outside interference. At its core, this was a story about timing. About the immense pressure that comes with two high-profile lives, and about what happens when two powerful individuals realize their paths, while meaningful, are moving in different directions. Both Tom Cruise and Ana de Armas stand at very different points in their journeys. One carries the weight of a legendary career that never slows down. The other is stepping into a future she is carefully shaping on her own terms. Sometimes, even when there is admiration, connection, and respect, reality demands honesty over attachment. In the end, Tom's quiet acknowledgement wasn't meant to reopen wounds or invite speculation. It was a rare moment of clarity, a reminder that behind the action hero, the fame, and the carefully controlled image, there is still a human being capable of choosing dignity over drama. And in a world that thrives on chaos, that choice may be the most powerful statement of all. When Tom Cruise and Ana de Armas were first linked together, the reaction was instant and deeply divided. Social media lit up with debates, headlines speculated endlessly, and fans rushed to form opinions. Some dismissed the connection as nothing more than a carefully crafted publicity move, designed to generate buzz in an industry where attention is currency. Others, however, noticed something different. They saw genuine chemistry, subtle moments of ease, and a natural connection that didn't feel forced or performative. Behind the scenes, those close to both actors tell a much quieter and more grounded story. According to insiders, the connection between Tom and Ana was very real, built not on spectacle, but on shared values and mutual understanding. They weren't drawn together by glamour or headlines, but by something far more personal: their devotion to cinema itself. They bonded over long conversations about filmmaking, over discipline and preparation, over a shared obsession with giving everything to their craft, no matter the cost. For Ana, Tom represented a level of focus and work ethic rarely seen in Hollywood. His relentless commitment, his attention to detail, and his refusal to settle for anything less than excellence left a deep impression on her. He wasn't just a movie star in her eyes. He was a professional who lived and breathed his work. For Tom, Ana stood out for entirely different reasons. He respected her independence, her sharp intelligence, and her clear refusal to be molded by Hollywood's expectations. Ana wasn't interested in becoming a version of herself that fit neatly into someone else's narrative. She wanted to grow on her own terms, choose her own roles, and define her own success. And Tom admired that strength. But here's the truth few people talk about. Especially in celebrity relationships, admiration doesn't always mean compatibility. Two people can deeply respect one another, inspire each other, and still struggle to exist in the same world long term. While their lives looked similar from the outside, the reality was far more complex. Their worlds were built on the same foundation: cinema. But the weight they carried within those worlds was very different. Tom Cruise lives under constant global scrutiny. Every move he makes becomes a headline. Every relationship becomes a story. His legacy, his image, and his responsibilities extend far beyond the screen. That level of attention is relentless and unavoidable. Ana de Armas, on the other hand, is in a phase of expansion. She is building, exploring, and defining who she wants to become. Her career is rising, her choices are intentional, and her future is still taking shape. While fame surrounds her, it hasn't yet hardened into the unmovable force that defines Tom's life. At first, these differences seemed manageable, even exciting. But over time, they began to matter. The imbalance of pressure, expectation, and public weight slowly revealed itself in quiet ways. What once felt like mutual inspiration started to feel like two paths moving at different speeds. Not abruptly, not dramatically, but steadily. And as time passed, that difference became impossible to ignore. When Tom finally addressed the breakup, his words caught many people completely off guard. In a world where celebrity separations are often followed by blame, explanations, or carefully crafted narratives, Tom chose a very different path. He didn't point fingers, he didn't hint at hidden conflicts, and he certainly didn't turn the moment into a public spectacle. He didn't blame Ana, he didn't blame fame, and he didn't blame circumstances. Instead, Tom acknowledged something deeply personal, something rarely heard from someone who has spent decades protecting his private life. Sometimes, Loving someone means recognizing when your life becomes too heavy for theirs. Those words instantly reframed the entire breakup. They weren't dramatic or emotional, but they carried an honesty that resonated deeply with fans. It was a quiet admission that love alone isn't always enough, especially when two lives carry very different kinds of weight. According to insiders, Tom openly recognized that his level of global fame comes with an intensity few people can truly understand. The constant attention, the non-stop travel, the pressure to always be on. His life moves at a pace and scale that leaves very little room for stillness. Over time, he began to realize that this world, the one he has built and maintained for decades, can be incredibly difficult to share, especially with someone who is still building her own legacy. Ana de Armas wasn't slowing down. She wasn't retreating. She wasn't asking for less. Ana was stepping forward. She was choosing growth, creative freedom, and the space to define her future on her own terms. And Tom, rather than seeing that as distance, understood it as strength. He recognized that holding onto her too tightly could mean pulling her into a life she hadn't chosen yet. That realization became the turning point. Rather than holding on out of fear or attachment, Tom made a decision rooted in respect. He chose to let go, quietly, thoughtfully, and without turning their personal story into a headline circus designed to feed public curiosity. There were no public statements designed to control perception. No interviews aimed at shifting blame. No dramatic reveals meant to dominate the news cycle. Just a calm acceptance that sometimes the most loving decision is also the most difficult one. That choice alone speaks louder than any emotional interview ever could. It shows maturity, self-awareness, and a rare willingness to put someone else's future above your own desire to hold on. In an industry fueled by attention and spectacle, Tom Cruise chose restraint, and in doing so, he revealed a side of himself that many rarely get to see. Not the action hero, not the icon, but a man who understands that love sometimes means knowing when to step aside. Contrary to the rumors that flooded social media and tabloids, there was no explosive fight behind this breakup. No heated arguments. No betrayal hidden behind closed doors. And no third person waiting in the wings. What happened between Tom Cruise and Ana de Armas was something far more real and far more relatable. It was a crossroads, a moment where two lives, equally driven but shaped by very different realities, reached a point where moving forward together required sacrifices neither was willing to force upon the other. Ana de Armas is standing at a defining chapter in her career. She is no longer simply rising. She is shaping, choosing bold, challenging roles, carefully building an image that reflects who she truly is, rather than what Hollywood expects her to become. In an industry that loves to control narratives, Ana has been intentional about protecting her identity, her creative voice, and her sense of self. Her focus is clear: growth without compromise. Tom Cruise, on the other hand, exists inside a legacy that never sleeps. His name alone carries decades of history, expectation, and global attention. Every decision he makes is dissected. Every appearance is analyzed. Every personal moment is magnified across the world. This isn't just fame. It's a permanent state of visibility that few people can ever escape. Being with Tom doesn't simply mean sharing love. It means entering a world where privacy is rare. Where schedules are relentless and where expectations never stop knocking. According to sources close to the situation, Ana made it clear that she wanted the freedom to grow without living in anyone's shadow, even one as legendary as Tom's. She wanted space to build her future authentically, without her story constantly being framed through someone else's legacy. And Tom didn't resist that truth. Instead of trying to hold on, instead of asking her to adapt to a life she hadn't chosen, he respected her decision. He understood that love should never demand someone to shrink, slow down, or disappear into the background. That understanding became the foundation of their goodbye. There was no bitterness. No public confrontation. No dramatic ending designed for headlines. Just two people recognizing that sometimes the most powerful form of love is the willingness to step back, because not every great love story is meant to last forever. Some are meant to teach, some are meant to support growth, and some are strongest precisely because they know when to end. In a world that romanticizes chaos, this quiet ending speaks volumes. So where does this leave them today? Stronger, just separately. In the aftermath of their quiet separation, both Ana de Armas and Tom Cruise appear more grounded, more focused, and more certain about who they are and where they are headed. There was no public fallout, no lingering tension played out through headlines or social media. Instead, there is a sense that both walked away with clarity rather than regret. Ana de Armas continues to rise, firmly taking control of her future with confidence and purpose. She is choosing roles that challenge her, stories that matter to her, and paths that align with her personal vision, rather than allowing herself to be defined by a relationship or overshadowed by a legendary name. Ana is building her career on her own terms. She is focused, ambitious, and unapologetically herself, a woman fully aware of her value and determined to protect it. This phase of her journey is about expansion. About self-definition, and about creating a legacy that belongs to her alone. Tom Cruise, meanwhile, remains Hollywood's unstoppable force. He continues to push limits, redefine what action cinema looks like, and commit himself fully to his craft with the same intensity that has defined his career for decades. The weight of being an icon hasn't slowed him down. If anything, it fuels him. His world moves fast, demands everything, and leaves little room for pause. Yet he continues forward with unwavering focus. Despite the separation, there is no bad blood between them. No resentment left behind. No bitterness disguised as silence. What remains instead is mutual respect and understanding, an acknowledgement that what they shared mattered, even if it wasn't meant to last forever. That understanding gives their story an ending few celebrity relationships ever achieve. And maybe that's the most unexpected part of all, because in a world addicted to chaos, scandal, and dramatic conclusions, this story reminds us of something rare and powerful. Not every breakup is a failure. Not every love story needs a villain. Some relationships end not because they collapse, but because they complete their purpose. And sometimes, the bravest act of all is knowing when to walk away.